The insurgency in Helmand Province is under pressure. That's the conclusion of the commander of British troops in Helmand after the latest Afghan-led operation there. Brigadier James Chiswell made the comments in a Ministry of Defence briefing today. Will Inglis was there.
The video press conference with Lashkar Gah was hosted by Brigadier James Chiswell, the commander of British forces in Afghanistan, and his Afghan counterpart, Brigadier General Sherin Shah. Dominating was Operation Omid Panj, which has seen Afghan and British troops take control of a formerly insurgent-held area near the town of Gureshk. Omid Panj, or Hope 5, targeted a problem area east of Gureshk. Like the earlier Omid Char, it involved capturing an area, clearing it of IEDs, and building a patrol base to keep it safe. The target for this operation was the Bandi Bark Road, a key artery just north of the Helmand River. This phase was followed by a push to disrupt insurgent activity in Saidan, used to launch attacks against nearby patrol base Hazrat. Hailing the op, Brigadier Chiswell said, "There is a real sense that the insurgency is under pressure. Not broken, but under pressure." It was again 3rd Brigade of 215 Corps who led the operation, with Brigade Advisory Group, 1st Battalion the Irish Guards in support.
Entirely Afghan-led, the forces began to move into the area in the early hours of the 27th of December, and since then have established a security presence. And then the Afghan engineers have moved into a compound in the Bandi Bark Road area and have established a patrol base, thereby establishing permanent security effect.
Although we're told this op was Afghan-led, the British forces were involved mainly in an advisory capacity. We understand, though, it was the British Counter-IED Task Force which dealt with the dozen roadside bombs found during Omid Panj. As I say, also speaking at this video press conference was Afghan Brigadier General Sherin Shah. Now, he commands 3 215 Brigade who are fighting alongside Task Force Helmand. He broadly shared Brigadier Chiswell's sense of optimism, but said that he wanted an urgent resupply of the Afghan National Army. Pressed as to what that meant, he said he wanted more equipment, but also more Afghan engineering support and more Afghan medics. Will Inglis, Forces News, Central London.
Well, let's join our reporter Jeff Mead live from Camp Bastion. Jeff, you were on patrol with the Paras just recently. Were those the vibes you got, that the insurgency is under pressure?
Yes, you have to remember every military always talks up its successes and plays down its reversals, but I've been reporting from here for a decade now, and I'm getting a sense now of real confidence, real optimism throughout ISAF and, of course, the British contingent here. There is an almost tangible sense that the tide is turning, that they have achieved some form of tipping point against the Taliban. They've done that by targeting individual leaders and engaging much more fully with the local community. But all commanders, indeed forces at all levels, are at great pains to not present this as a victory or mission accomplished. They know the fighting season is about to renew. The Taliban still have plenty of struggle in them. The next 2 years, Liam Fox, the Defence Secretary, said will be crucial. And just echoing those words of Sherin Shah, the Brigadier in charge of the ANA here in Helmand, that's very much what I was hearing from his commanders in the field. We don't have enough men, they're not well enough trained, and we don't yet have enough equipment, particularly heavy weapons and vehicles.
And what's the American take on the British progress on these latest operations?
Well, it's interesting you should raise that question, Kate, because I've just come from a social event at which General Richard Mills, the American Marine commander of this region, was present. And I spoke to him at some length, and he went to great pains to pay very generous tribute to the Brits. There's been some rumblings, I think, that the Americans have not altogether been satisfied with the job that the Brits did before they arrived in strength about a year ago. But certainly General Mills paid great tribute to the Brits. He admitted, conceded that they were undermanned and under-resourced, but he said in a memorable phrase that what they're achieving now, the success now, is very much built on a foundation paid in British blood. We'll hear that interview in full on Forces News tomorrow.
All right, Jeff Mead in Camp Bastion, thank you very much for that.